The official and the monk. One day, a high-ranking government official went to the local Buddhist temple to meet with a well-known and highly regarded elderly monk. They were to discuss matters of taxation and property redistribution, which could affect the temple, as well as the monks who lived there. The old Zen master warmly welcomed the man and invited him into the temple. But rather than sit down in a dark, stuffy room, he suggested that the two take a walk around the temple gardens and enjoy the afternoon sun while discussing the matters at hand. The official accepted the welcome change in protocol and began to explain the government's plan. Walking next to the leisurely strolling monk, he made it very clear why the old man should be concerned, how the proposed changes could impact the temple and affect the lives of the monks. The master listened patiently to each of the official's points and gave him plenty of time to fully explain himself. However, much to the man's surprise, the monk responded to each and every problem in a very relaxed and optimistic way. It seemed as though he knew with complete certainty that the official's concerns would work themselves out, and that he had absolutely nothing to worry about. This very much confused the official, who was accustomed to people reacting quite differently to his visits. Convinced that the monk simply must have not quite fully understood the gravity of his predicament, the official pressed on, even repeating himself on numerous occasions, wanting to make absolutely sure that the monk understood him. Again, the monk responded in a very confident, almost indifferent way to all of the issues that were brought up. Sensing the official's uneasiness, he made an effort to express his understanding of the issues, assuring the man that he had done a good job in explaining himself. This, however, only added to the official's confusion, as he found even less justification for the old man's carefree attitude, assuming that he understood what he had just been told. Unable to come up with an explanation for the monk's behavior, the official grew frustrated, convinced that something must be off about the old man. It struck him that the monk must be toying with him, that he had known about and understood the upcoming government measures all along, and was simply wasting his time. Here I am, repeating myself over and over again, trying to do the right thing in helping this old man understand what our government is proposing. And he has nothing better to do than to waste my time and play me for a fool. The official thought to himself, he has taken my kindness for weakness. Angry at the old man, the official decided to teach him a lesson. He began to reiterate the things he had said earlier, making a point of complicating the conversation, which had begun so amicably, by throwing in legal jargon and concepts the monk could not possibly be familiar with or fully understand. Wanting to scare and unsettle the old man, he did the best he could to paint a picture that was a lot more bleak than what the Buddhist congregation actually was to expect. He made use of all his expertise and his many years of experience as an orator to exaggerate the temple's predicament and worry the old monk. When the official noticed that they had almost done a full lap around the temple gardens and were approaching the main gate, where he had first arrived, he wrapped up his speech. He was quite happy with himself for his elaborations, which had been so well improvised, that he even had to remind himself that they were mostly fabricated. "That will be all for now," he finally said. "I'm quite sure that you have nothing to worry about, though I can't make any promises, of course. The government apparatus is a big one, and things have a tendency to take on a dynamic of their own. It can be a daunting environment to navigate, especially if you don't have any friends on the inside. But I'm sure you will do just fine. You will be hearing from me again." He turned towards the gate, ready to leave. "Safe travels," said the monk. The official stopped and turned around to face the monk once more. "I wonder," he said, not quite fully satisfied with the interaction. "What do you think of the things I told you?" "What do you mean?" replied the monk, unsure about what was being asked of him. "Well, I have laid out what the government plans to do in the upcoming months. There will be many changes that will undoubtedly affect your temple. though I was sent here to discuss these changes with you. I am far more than just a messenger in this instance. I have the power to greatly affect and change the outcome of the decision-making as it relates to this temple. Surely you must have an opinion about me." "It is not for me to judge you," replied the monk. "Humor me," urged the official. "What do you think of me?" "I think you are a kind and intelligent man. You came here to help me understand what the government plans to do. And you left no stone unturned, trying to make sure that I am as well informed as I could possibly be. Your ability with words reveals years of experience, and the generosity you displayed in the time you dedicated to my education is most appreciated. I see the light of the Buddha shining from within you." "Is that so?" said the official, convinced that the old man had finally understood his threats and was now desperately attempting to win him over. But he wasn't having any of it. "Do you want to know what I think of you?" he said. "It is not for me to question your judgment of me. You are entitled to your own opinions," replied the monk. "Well, I am going to tell you anyway," said the official, eager to finally speak his mind and lash out at the old man. "I think you are an arrogant old fool who has nothing better to do than to waste my time. I think you will be the downfall of this temple, and I have half a mind to help you make that happen." With those last words, the official turned around and left. Later that evening, he was having dinner with his wife. Enjoying the delicious food she had so lovingly prepared, it occurred to him that he could entertain her by telling her about the rude old monk and how he had so cleverly put him in his place. He began to relay what had happened from the very beginning, how he had originally enjoyed walking through the gardens, but had felt as though he was not being taken seriously. He told her how he had made an admirable effort to explain things to this poor and unknowledgeable old man, only to find out that the monk had taken him for a fool and tried to confuse him and waste his time. He retold, almost verbatim, his brilliant speech that was meant to scare and intimidate the Zen master, and how magnificently his plan had worked, given the monk's pathetic attempt to appease him. At last, he told her how he had finally spoken his mind and told the monk what he thought of him, before triumphantly strutting through the temple gates. There was an awkward and unexpected silence that had engulfed the dinner table and seemed to be spreading throughout the entire house. His wife had been listening very patiently, waiting for a turn in the story that never came. She had stopped eating at this point and was merely staring at her husband in disbelief. An expression of disappointment, embarrassment, and anger marked her face. "You stupid, conceited, arrogant man! Can't you see that you made a fool of yourself today? The old monk at the temple is one of the kindest, most generous, and highly regarded people in town. Not one person has a bad thing to say about him. You, however, managed to mistake his tranquility and serenity for arrogance and animosity. The old man did not insult you. All he did was hold a mirror to your face." The official was visibly confused by his wife's reaction and did not understand what she was saying. She took a deep breath and let out a long sigh, clearly frustrated that she had to explain herself. When a person has the heart of an arrogant fool, all he sees in other people is his own arrogance and stupidity. You got angry with the old man for wasting your time, when all along it was you who was wasting his, repeating the same boring government plans over and over again, when he understood you perfectly well the first time. You weren't trying to help him, you just wanted to satisfy your own sense of importance and get some kind of submissive reaction out of him. The monk must truly have the patience of the Buddha if he allowed you to ruin his afternoon with your nonsense, and then insult him in his own home. What the monk was describing when he was complimenting you was actually his own light shining back at him through you. "Well, there you have it," the man defiantly retorted, upset by his wife's admonishment. "I too must have the light of the Buddha within me, no?" "No," she concluded, angrily and disappointed, as she got up and began to clear the table. The old monk has a heart like that of the Buddha. That is why all he sees in anyone and everyone is the light of the Buddha, even in someone like you.